Listen, I've never had any problem expressing my opinions, but what we're doing here is bigger than that. These are conversations that need to be had in an unfiltered way. Drag racing's all I've ever done. It's all I care to do. I respect the history, I appreciate how far we've come, but I want more for this sport, and I'll fight for it. It's uncut, it's unfiltered. This is the show of shows. The biggest names in drag racing. No holds barred. This is the great American motorsport. Drag racing. Prove me wrong. I'll wait. Whoops. I got Jimmy Dale on there. Yeah, I got Jimmy Dale on there, all large and in charge. I'm trying to add files. Hey, gang, Westbuck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, checking in. It is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. Hope you're doing well, boys and girls. It is almost party time. We are just days away from the Drag Illustrated World Series of Pro Mod at Bradenton Motorsports Park, February 26th through 28th. The grand finale of the Drag Illustrated Winter Series presented by J&A Service. Could not be more excited about this event. I mean, as if the first two, I was thinking about this earlier in the day, actually late last night, it was keeping me up, but these events back to back have produced the quickest field in the history of pro modified drag racing, the fastest field in the history of pro modified drag racing, the tightest field in the history of pro modified drag racing. We have seen the biggest field in the history of pro modified drag racing. It's unbelievable. Global attention, record fields, over the moon in terms of eyeballs and viewership. Our partnership with Flow Racing is flourishing, bringing hundreds of thousands of eyeballs to the sport of drag racing, particularly doorslammer drag racing, which is near and dear to my heart, obviously. And obviously our continued relationship with Amazon Prime via Flow Racing's Flow 24/7 channel there on their live TV offering on Prime. It's absolutely incredible the amount of attention and eyeballs that are on Outlaw 8th Mile doorslammer drag racing. And I feel like we're quickly seeing this brand of drag racing, this scene, become something of our sports major leagues. This is where all the names go. This is where it's a who's who of the biggest names, the most talented teams, the most talented drivers, the baddest cars, all in one place at one time, getting to see who's who. We got a ton of cool stuff at the World Series of Pro Mod presented by Red Line Oil coming up next week. We just announced this morning our first ever, our inaugural prayer breakfast at the World Series of Pro Mod in conjunction with Jason Terrell and his charity via Tin Soldier Race Cars, of course, Bound for Glory, where they're putting Bibles in the hands of people all across the country. We also are working hand in hand in conjunction with Racers for Christ, Tammy, Tommy, the whole gang there, as well as the SEMA and PRI prayer breakfast group. So really excited to see this deal come together and bring some positivity and some momentum into race day. We're kind of treating it like a Braveheart rally cry before we go into battle, provide everybody a little bit of perspective. We also, breaking news right here on the show right now in this very instance, we'll announce today the Aeromotive Fuel Systems whole shot bonus. We are going to provide $1,000 cash bonus to anybody who wins a round of eliminations. The biggest hole shot every round of elimination. So throughout the course of 5 rounds of racing, we'll put $5,000 in various racers' pockets. Super excited about bringing Aeromotive into the fold. They've got a big presence in the Pro Mod and fast door slammer scene already, and we're excited to pour some fuel on that fire and remind racers that Aeromotive supports the things that they're doing on their weekends, specifically the Drag Illustrated Winter Series and, of course, the World Series of Pro Mod. We got $150,000 up for grabs next Saturday. It's going to be amazing to see who joins, kind of our own Outlaw 8th Mile Mount Rushmore of Pro Mod drivers. It started in 2017 with the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Bowman, making the trip from LA to Denver, Colorado to throw his hat in the ring at the biggest, richest Pro Mod drag race in the history of the known universe. $100,000 on the line. He gets the job done. In year 2 of the World Series, we return to Bandimere Speedway and see Carl Stevens Jr. take out Danny Rowe in an electric quarter-mile final round. Absolutely incredible moment. and see Carl Stevens etch his name in the drag racing history books. Then in 2019, our last year on Thunder Mountain, the great Scotty Oaksis gets the job done behind the wheel of his twin turbocharged 67 Mustang, tuned by the one and only Jeff Pierce, who remains a force to be reckoned with as far as tuners and crew chiefs are concerned. Even today, fast forward to 2023, we roll the World Series of Pro Mod out in Bradenton, Florida, and Spencer Hyde finds himself in the winner's circle. We follow that up the next year in 24 with Derek Ward in 25. Most recently, our reigning and defending World Series of Pro Mod champion Steve King, who we had on the show last week. Really enjoyed that and excited to see if Steve can make a little more history and perhaps be the first and only driver to go to double up to win this event twice. I got to tell you, there's a whole lot of hungry racers headed into the grand finale of the Winter Series, and I'm anxious to see how this thing shakes out and who joins that extremely exclusive fraternity of those to get it done on the biggest stage that exists in Pro Mod drag racing. We got some hella guests for you guys today. In about 20 minutes, we'll be joined by the one and only Ryan Martin, one of the biggest names in outlaw drag racing, of course, a superstar by way of Street Outlaws and Street Outlaws No Prep Kings. Excited to talk to him, break a little bit of news with Ryan and the gang. Then at 3 o'clock, we will hear from Kyle Dvorak, longtime friend of Drag Illustrated, someone I've known since he was a young man. Met this man when he was racing junior dragsters with his family, watched him work his way through the ranks, and now via Rob Kohler Racing is behind the wheel of a contender of a late model Camaro with a screw-blown Hemi in it. And I'm excited to talk to him about this weekend's fast approaching Lights Out at South Georgia Motorsports Park, Raul Torres's joint down there in South Georgia, and Donald and Stephanie Long's huge production. I know Kyle's going in with a full head of steam. I feel like they've got a lot of momentum headed out of the U.S. Street Nationals. So I'm excited to see what they're able to do in radial trim before they put big tires and bars back on that bad boy and head a little further south to Bradenton, Florida. We're going to round out the show at 3:30 Central Standard Time with a little check-in with another longtime friend of Drag Illustrated, a columnist in the magazine for a better part of a decade or perhaps over. Of course, I'm talking about Tommy DeApril, who made his triumphant return. The former IHRA Pro Modified World Champion made his triumphant return to competition at the Winter Series this season. We saw him come out of retirement in December at the Snowbird Outlaw Nationals, do very well, use up a motor, unfortunately, en route to qualifying for the quickest Pro Mod field in history, but carried that momentum into the U.S. Street Nationals, and I'm anxious to see what he's able to do come Saturday at the World Series of Pro Mod. But, of course, before we do any of that, I got to check in with my gang here. I got a little bit of a proud parent moment we're about to talk about. Mike Carpenter, JT Hudson. I mean, Mike, I think you're assuming that I'm about to talk about your victory vinyl wrapping Tony Stewart's top fuel car.
Man, I thought we were going to just sign off. I didn't think you needed us today, man. He's got it covered. T. Yeah,
I pretty well have it whipped if you guys want to bounce.
I'm out of shit to talk about now.
All I did was talk about the race. But listen, I was going to give it to you and make this a whole thing about victory vinyl and wrapping a car for smoke and whatnot and give you a little, free publicity. No big deal. But we could just talk about JT's new truck. I think he just dropped like $5,000 on that thing. Yeah. I was giving him shit this morning.
Either one, man. I mean, it's about the same.
Okay, let's go all in on the victory vinyl program. I mean, let's talk about the pro.
Some stickers.
Exactly. He did.
I made some stickers for JT for his new truck. So it's a tie-in. And he's happy. As long as we keep JT happy, we can do it.
Gotta be murdered. You gotta keep it murdered.
You gotta keep it murdered out. It's kind of like Murder Sandstorm. That's what I'm gonna start calling
Murder
it.
Sandstorm.
I love the new truck, actually, JT. I got to ride around at JT's truck when he was down here in Fort Worth for Courtney Enders and Spencer Hyde's wedding last Friday night. And what a big time. But before we dive into wedding talk, more World Series of Pro Mod talk, we've got to talk about, I don't know how the hell this has happened, guys, but like the NHRA their season starts in 2 weeks. This is bananas. I mean,
it is.
Maybe
it is.
I mean, Winter Series, but like this deal never stops, man. I mean, I can't believe they're testing in Gainesville right now.
Yeah. It's actually first time we want to stay on the victory vinyl thing. First time we actually got to see Tony's car on track, which is like a nerve-wracking moment. You want to make sure that everything's perfect and it looks good for the one and only Smoke. And for Richard Freeman, I mean, that's a lot of pressure. But
Yeah, you gotta have to lock your doors and like
yeah,
crawl in a hole and just hide.
but everything's going well. Everything's going well from what I can hear, and I haven't checked on the weather or exactly what the conditions are down there, but these boys are flying right off the start for the season, and I mean just like setting the tone right away. 342 miles per hour for Sean Langdon. I mean, my question is is this going to precipitate some kind of changes? Because I don't know how far NHRA is going to let these guys go into the 340 zone. Like, we used to hear a lot about this. Like, anytime you guys go above this number, we're lowering that rev limiter, or we're doing whatever to keep it. But now we haven't heard that in a while. And I honestly think that we probably contributed to that a little bit. I think after the Pro Superstar Shootout in 2024, where Bob Tasca was the first driver period over 340 miles per hour, and then they went on to go 340 later in the NHRA season. Feels like there was a little pressure to get that number and for it to kind of pop up consistently. But like, what are we going to do when these guys are going 342, 345? Is NHRA going to step in? Like, have you heard anything about that? Is that something that's sort of on the horizon?
I think it's a astute observation, and I really haven't heard anything, but you're 100% correct, because over the course of the last 20 years that we've been doing this dance, every time, I mean, first it was 330, like, oh, there's no way they're going to let him go any faster. And then they obliterate that. And then they're knocking on the 340 mile per hour barrier and have now, routinely exceeded that. At least a few cars have routinely exceeded that mark. And it was always talk of tires chunking, right? I mean, that was almost always like tire technology and the tires. But I sense some confidence amongst that community. I'm literally, this is an opinion. This is not fact. This is just my opinion. But I feel like I hear a lot less of that across the board. And I would argue that we're more connected to nitro teams today than we've ever been. And I'm just not hearing a lot about it. So I don't know if that's just, that's just where we're at right now. And until we, I mean, it's becoming commonplace, right? I mean, I know obviously a lot of those Hail Mary record-setting runs belong to Brittany Force, and she's kind of been the one
Right.
that's held on to a lot of those. But we're seeing Josh Hart was over 340 today. As you mentioned, Sean Langdon well over 340 today. I don't know. I mean, if we see now, again, you mentioned we don't know exactly the conditions. I saw in the comments 81 in Lakeland, Florida right now. So apparently pretty decent or okay, but that's not mine shaft. No. So it's going to be, I don't know. I had a conversation with some drivers last week about kind of one of our upcoming projects that we have yet to announce. But, I kind of felt like the 350, like how fast could these things be going if they were running a quarter mile? I mean,
probably like
holy moly. Yeah,
360, 370. I mean, who knows, really? I'm just guessing there. But I mean, the whole 1,000 foot came out of trying to reduce these speeds and the rev limiter and what other changes? I mean, they've made fuel changes?
Oh, header layback.
Headers, header layback. Yeah. I'm not a nitro expert by any means, but for a while there, you were hearing just left and right trying to do anything to prevent this. And now it's like you said, maybe Goodyear. I think Goodyear sets the tone for a lot of this. If they feel confident in that tire and are seeing, there's that guy, the Goodyear guys down there at the top end, looking at every tire after the run, making notes, measuring things. Like maybe they've gotten to a point where they start to feel comfortable. I think a lot of it also comes into track prep. Like, cause we hear a lot about that. If the track prep is right, as in not too much track prep down track and is allowing the tire to spin and not hook and have too much downforce, where I think that causes the chunking, then maybe they're going to let them go, which I think would be an interesting way to start the season for an HRA. I'll
have Frankie Taylor call him and tell him, just hear me out. Outlaw nitro.
No rules. I tell you, there's a comment I feel like the NHRA the absolute last resort would be switching to an 8th mile format. I think that will be, it'd be bad. I don't think
eighth mile nitro, like we talk a lot about 8th mile. We're 8th mile defenders to the bone, but 8th mile nitro is too quick and too short. Like, basically, I mean, it literally is. So that to me, nitro is full blown Top Fuel Funny Car Nitro is like the one class I don't want to see on the 8th mile.
I agree with that. And I guess I just don't know like what exactly the answer is. And you know who I'm going to reach out to? You made when we were talking about who we could talk to, Chad Head at Coletta Motorsports, longtime friend of the program. He'd be a great one. That he's really tuned into the safety aspect of these cars and the technology that's being used. And I think getting his opinion on that would be really impactful, because I think you might be right. Like at least here early in the season, because there's a different air in our space right now. Like it's been a hot minute since there's been anywhere else to race nitro cars. Now all of a sudden we've got this IHRA rolling out their Triple Crown deal, paying crazy money. We've got them. They switched to the 8th mile format and then kind of pulled that back and changed plans on that. I know they are going to run 8th mile at Piedmont, not Piedmont, at Galot.
They changed course on that?
Yeah, they changed course on that. And so? Well, I mean, they just put out an announcement that they weren't going to do that. Like, hold on, I'll find it.
So they're not running. They're running 1,000 foot.
Yeah,
but not all of them, right? Or
yeah, at Galot, like for instance, it's an 8th mile track. Yeah, based on reports from early 2026, the IHRA has partially reverted its decision to mandate 8th mile racing. Original decision in November of 2025, the IHRA announced that all professional and sportsman categories would run exclusively on the 8th mile in 2026 for safety and cost containment reasons. The reversion took place in January of 2026. Following feedback, IHRA announced that many sportsman categories, specifically factory stock, super stock, super rod, quick rod, hot rod, and the Hemi shootout, will return to quarter mile racing at facilities that can accommodate the distance. The 8th mile format remains in place for certain classes, but 1,000 foot or quarter mile racing has been reinstated. So it looks to me like
they're gonna be all over because pro mod and all that's gonna be 8th mile.
Yeah,
nitro will be 1,000 foot, and sportsman class will be a quarter mile where it can accommodate.
And in the comments, we've got Hamming Motorsports telling us that it's 1,000 foot only at the Triple Crown races. So, anyways, I mean, my point is that I think there's probably the NHRA is probably the reason I brought this up was I think there's probably in my mind, and if I were king for a day, like I think this is an opportunity for the NHRA to say, hey, this is where you go see the cars that run 340 plus. This is where you see the quickest and fastest drag racing cars on the planet Earth. So, you know, I could see creating some differentiation. How you guys know me well enough to know that the last thing I want to do is talk about how fast any cars are. Like I think it serves its purpose. I'm more of a win light guy. I want to see wins and losses. I want to see narrative. I want to see good guys and bad guys. I want to see baby faces and heels. But yeah, I mean, we want to see fast cars, you know what I mean? And we've trained NHRA perhaps more so than anybody, right? They've trained this group of people over the course of the last now 75 years to talk about the numbers on those scoreboards and be married to the performance of these cars. So I guess I don't know that I'd be surprised to see them. I'm not saying let it all hang out or loosen a bunch of rules, but I would be shocked to see them pour cold water on this. If they can roll into the first race of the season, the Gator Nationals, and, you know, have multiple 340 mile an hour runs and that kind of do what it does to social media, I think that's probably a solid play right now.
Yeah, I do too. Especially you've lost some star power too going into this year. I think it's all pretty good. I mean, just to have those numbers and show people what you can do. I mean, they've been slowing them down forever. Hell, we slow down people too, you know, in real sets. Just it's needed a lot of times. You guys have done it to keep the field competitive, you know, but
it's massively needed. I mean, and honestly, it's not anything that anybody really wants to talk about, but keeping this stuff somewhat attainable is pretty important. Like,
if you have dream alive, go out there and running 340s, you know, and then everybody else is you know, way back and a few numbers off, you got to do something, right?
Well, I mean, it's been interesting because it seems to me like when you look at the nitro racing, and again, this is not exactly my forte, but it's really been Brittany Force. I mean, we got to give it to Max Savage and David Grubnick, the tuning minds behind the performance of that.
IT.
Yeah, at John Force, like those guys. Yeah, he's the IT guy at John Force Racing. He's got the Wi-Fi password. Let me tell you. But it's like that performance has really been pretty exclusive to those guys. You know what I mean? Like there's not been a lot of that. I think the biggest like signal that I'm seeing is that Sean Langdon and that Brian Houston, Alan Johnson, Coletta Motorsports car is now, producing those type of numbers. So clearly they've figured something out over the course of the last few months. I'm excited to see how it all unfolds, man. It's going to be cool. I'm super stoked just to see Tony Stewart remain involved in the sport of drag racing. I think we all were kind of wondering how long that experiment was going to last. Is this a one and done? Is this a couple of seasons? Is this, play around and go race with my wife? Or is this going to
probably wouldn't have if it wasn't for Victory Vinyls wrapping the deal up for him.
Yeah.
Let's
give it up for Victory Vinyl right now.
We do what we can. I mean, it's all we can do. Smoke called and said, "Hey, if you're not wrapping our stuff, I'm done.
I'm out."
So
That's right.
It's just what we had to do to keep him in the sport.
Well, we appreciate it. The entire sport of drag racing appreciates it, Mike.
What about him? What about him running against his wife in a different team? So it's Tony Stewart Racing with Leah Pruitt driving, and then Tony's driving over here for Elite Motorsports and Richard. It's an interesting deal. And then, did you see the Jasmine Salinas news also?
I just got a text message about that this morning. That's great news.
So it is, which she's been featured a lot in the, I finally caught up on the Chasing Speed deal, watched all 4 episodes in a binge session, and really good stuff. Love it. But she's been featured there a lot and kind of leaned into that deal. And I hate because at this point, you're like a year removed from when that was filmed. And she's like telling her story and she's overcoming her, she's getting more experience, driving better throughout the thing. And then it's like, boom, they pull the plug or whatever for the rest of the season.
That was crazy.
And then you're now
you're fifth in the points.
Yeah. You're a year removed from that. And you've got, all these different storylines, these people, the way these guys are talking, you've got Austin Prock, talking about the whole John Force thing and the way that's playing out. We talked to Jordan Vandergriff last week and talked about his deal with Reed last year. And it just seems so long ago now, because now we're a whole season and everything has changed for all these people that are featured in Ida, her situation.
What was the news? What was the Salinas news?
She's coming back. Well, I didn't read the full deal, but she's going to be back.
They're basically going to run a
hybrid.
Yeah. So it would appear to me, just a high level 30,000 foot view of it, is Todd Okahara joining the team as crew chief. I think that's great news. I've known Todd for a long time, and I think that he is a very valuable commodity in this space and has had a lot of success, specifically in Top Fuel racing. He's done both Top Fuel and Funny Car, but I think this is a great pickup for the Salinas camp, Scrappers Racing. But it looks like a hybrid schedule, T. Like they're going to run some NHRA, some IHRA. I think they're going to cherry pick. And I honestly, this to me seems like something that we could see as something of a rubric moving forward for some of these teams that are self-funded. I think that the big draw to NHRA right now, without question, is broadcast television. Like having access to those type of crowds, sellout crowds at massive venues, and also having an opportunity to perform on a platform like Fox is, oftentimes with NFL lead-ins. I mean, there's a lot of nuance to that and value that's provided by, being able to race in front of millions of people. So anyways, I think that the teams that have like these big sponsorships and, really significant corporate partners or people that are invested in the space, that NHRA platform is still going to really speak to them because it's not so much about entry fees and, payout. It's more about exposure and eyeballs and B2B and hospitality and all these different things that make race teams run. Then you're going to have some guys that are chasing dollars, going after the place that it's cheap or free to enter and you can race for good money. And it's honestly, those are good things.
One feeds the other. You go over to IHRA with your NHRA equipment, run well, pick up a win, take that money, go fund your trip to NHRA where you're getting the exposure. It's sort of like seesaw back and forth. I mean, it's actually pretty interesting and to see how that's going to play out. But going back to my point about the Chasing Speed thing is how quickly the sport changes. Like we can never hang our hat on anything for too long because it changes, and they're building these storylines throughout the Chasing Speed, like choosing who do we follow, who do we focus on, and there's this real interesting storyline. Then boom, it vanishes, and then it's gone, and you got to pivot, and it really makes it hard to tell these stories and to really latch in to somebody because it just changes on a dime. And even our guest here today, Ryan Martin, that we're going to bring on here in a second, like the constant evolution and pivots that you have to make to stay out there and keep these things going, I think is not just a Top Fuel funny car thing or an IHRA NHRA thing. It goes across the entire sport, and it's something we've talked about a lot that makes covering the sport, sponsorships, building a schedule, all these things like very challenging. And that the people that are best at navigating that environment are the ones that come out on top.
I couldn't agree more, man. I mean, I think we've seen more movement in recent years than we have seen. I mean, I know that it always feels like, I know sometimes like the mainstream news feels that way. Like our old lady's always getting kidnapped and we just didn't know about it. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, and I don't think that has been the case, but it's like, this does seem unique. Like we've been, this is our 20th year here at Drag Illustrated. We're actually going to celebrate the 20th birthday of Drag Illustrated, our 20th anniversary next Wednesday night at Yard House, Sarasota for the Drag Illustrated. Everybody come. World Series of Pro Mod kickoff party and Drag Illustrated birthday celebration. But 20 years we've been doing this, Mike, JT, and it's like, I don't know that we've ever seen the volume of change, like the winds of change blowing the way that they are blowing right now. And it's exciting. It's a little nerve wracking, I think, at times, because you never know how these things are going to pan out or what the long-term strategy is. You're just feeling it. You're like you're hitting the bumps as you go. But nonetheless, I think movement is good by and large. I know that what I've seen is largely positive. You know what I mean? I think there's also, of course, room for concern. And, you start looking around like, how is this going to work while that's working and all these things. But man, I have a lot of belief in the sport of drag racing. And I tell you what, another guy that I have a lot of belief in, I'm excited to bring onto the show in just a second. But first, I do want to remind you guys that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of our friends at Stroud Safety. Stroud Safety is known for their top quality racing safety equipment, from drag chutes and seatbelts to fire suits and blankets, all 100% made in America. Log on to StroudSafety.com and make sure you tell them we sent you, boys and girls. Let's give it up for the one, the only, the Fireball himself, Ryan Martin.
Hello, guys.
What's up, buddy? How the hell are you?
What's up, man?
I got a 3-person audience, and all three of you guys clapping, and I sure appreciate it.
You're welcome. You can't hear the millions
and millions of people back there. I know it.
Yes.
I know it. How are you guys doing today?
Man,
man.
Just getting ready to put on the biggest drag race in the history of mankind, big dog. That's kind of the focal point right now. We couldn't be more excited. If it was tomorrow, I'd be stoked. We're so appreciative and excited to have had you involved in what we're doing here. It's no secret. You've been kind of the tent pole of the Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings movement for years. We've talked about it on this show a lot, just what that meant to our sport. I mean, I don't know if you heard us in the green room, but just a few minutes ago, we were talking about the winds of change blowing in the motorsports world, specifically in drag racing. But I think I want to get to the breaking news, but I think we almost need to set the tone for we've asked you to reflect on this before, but I think it's worth repeating and maybe expounding upon a little bit further. I mean, you're a professional drag racer at this point in time, Ryan. And I mean, you're not racing Top Fuel. You're not chasing the NHRA points or whatever. I can't tell you how meaningful I think it is that somebody racing a back half car or a small tire car has found a way to earn a living doing this. And we obviously got to give a lot of credit to, Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings, the production companies, the television studios, everybody that's been involved in this. But what's this last, 10, 12 years run? I mean, this has got to be somewhat surreal. Like, I know there's probably a way that we could all poo-poo on, it's gone away and things have changed, but I know the kind of human being you are, and I know that you are grateful just for the opportunity that this whole thing has provided. I mean, what do you make of the current lay of the land and how we got from there to here and what's next?
Man, there's so much, right? Like, number one, thank God, right? So we couldn't do all this if God didn't allow us to do what we get to do. But that being said, yeah, man, grateful is the best way that I can explain to you how I feel. When I was a kid and I was watching John Force and I was watching NHRA drag racing and things like that, I don't know that I ever thought, hey, one day I could be on some type of stage like that, whether it's, like you said, back half back half small tire stuff, back half big tire. Much less did I think there would be a television show that would cover it, that would make us all popular. And then in turn, that grimy street racing show would get us to where, like we're talking about, man. I do feel like you guys have provided the biggest stage in drag racing right now, what's current, and as you know, we're stepping up to the stage. So who would have ever thought that any of that would ever come out of what, as a kid in the living room watching John Force, to doing some street racing, to getting on a street racing TV show, to doing an NHRA deal, to participate in the Winter Series. I'm just thankful every day that I'm able to do it. And I don't care. You are correct. There's so many people that are boo-hoo on it, and they talk a lot of smack saying about, well, you guys got your 15 minutes of fame. Well, number one, our 15 minutes of fame lasted a long time, and we couldn't have done it without the people behind us, family support and everything else. But look where it's taken us today,
Brother. I mean, if you think about your 15, I mean, I have like prolonged goosebumps here, because if you really think about that, very few of these shows that are like reality driven shows have the kind of runway that No Prep Kings and Street Outlaws had.
It exceeded all expectations. I mean, everybody was calling it, the curtain call for that show long before it ever actually
on the
happened.
pilot, right? On the pilot, people were going, "Hey, that's not going to work." Like it's not.
Yeah.
And let me be honest. I wasn't in on it from the very beginning, and it took a couple seasons for me to get rolling. And I think on the pilot, I probably said, "Man, I don't know. You're coming to my city, to Oklahoma City, and we're going to film street racing, and that's going to take off." I don't see it. But look where we are today, right? And then very, very shortly after, I just sat back and watched. I'm like, hey, they got something like that. They're going to run. They got a runway, and they're going to make big things out of it. And a lot of these guys, it's a blessing. I can't tell you how many people this has been a blessing to. And even as me living in the thick of it, you don't really see until you sit back and watch where it's taking you. And that is surreal when you get to do that,
I mean, if you really think about the impact culturally it had, and I've had this conversation with you both, I think, in public and, off the behind the scenes, but bringing drag racing, to me, there's a lesson to be learned here, right? Like a couple of things. We needed somebody to make it fashionable, to make it cool, to be a car guy. Like when I graduated high school, I think I had already missed that window. You know what I mean? Like whenever I had a shop rag in my pocket or drove to school with a hot rod, I was a weirdo. It wasn't cool. You know what I mean? And I was kind of the odd man out. The cool guys had like, I don't know, Mitsubishi Eclipse convertibles or whatever, and I've seen over the course of, the last, 10, 12 years of Street Outlaws and No Prep Kings, making it cool to be a gearhead, making it cool to work on your car, making it cool to even care about that stuff and want to be guilty by association. And then secondly, no matter where that show's at today, there's a lesson to be learned that people care. And I think that the lesson to be learned really more so than anything else is that it's really not about the cars. It's about the men and women driving them. It's about telling stories. It's about characters. It's about narrative control, good guys and bad guys, baby faces and heels. Like that's how you build what they built with Street Outlaws. And like, I did a podcast earlier in the week for some local deal down in the Florida area, some local news station. And I told them, I don't feel that I'm a race promoter or a drag race promoter. I'm a drag racer promoter. It's my job to promote racers. Like the race is the result of bringing in the best racers in the world. Like, don't get me wrong. Like it's a tough thing, like which comes first, the chicken or the egg, but I would argue till I'm blue in the face that what we do is special because of the absolute badass superstar drag racers that we bring to one place at one time to get it on. And like, to me, celebrating these stars, putting you guys front and center, this show, everything we do is rooted in a human face, connecting people to other people. That's why we don't do like a tech show. Like I know people would watch it. I know they would, like, cause we've trained them.
Nobody wants tech from us, dude. They don't want us.
Nobody wants tech from us.
Y'all got a pretty good deal going on the way you're doing it. I really honestly think, but just back to what you were kind of saying though. You're right. I mean, look, the one thing I'll say about you and you guys and what you've done is you've picked up on how Street Outlaws made it popular. And how did they do it? Well, they picked on each individual character as to what their character was. And I've noticed without even you saying it, I noticed that's what you're doing. And I noticed that you've picked up on that, and you have realized, I think we've all realized, it's not like who wins the race and what the race is about. And the fact that you're racing a pro mod or you're racing a small tire car or whatever it is, it's about the people behind it, the hardship that they had to get where they are, the blown up motors, the leaving the families behind to go drag race. Like, that's the stuff that is real, and that's what people care about, and that's what people need to see. I mean, and that's what Street Outlaws did, and that's what you guys are doing now.
100%. And that's what made you guys such a good fit for what we're doing too. Like, we saw it with Kai, we saw it with we've seen Scott Taylor, Murder Nova, and then of course bringing you in with the true 10-5 deal, and then now into the pro mod ranks as well. It's what made you guys such a fit, because you get and play into and are the characters that we're trying to build and let these other guys see. Like, it's been a really cool deal melding like your hardcore drag racer that doesn't care about TV, doesn't care about the character, literally just wants to get behind the wheel and drive or tune these cars, and then marry that with you guys that kind of do both and have seen what allowing that personality to come out can do. And so it's really been a cool, like, having you guys. And even I think the jumping off moment was when Kai beat Ken Corduccio and won the Snowbirds over a year ago now. Like, we thought, I mean, we know Kai's a great racer. We know we've known Kai for a while. And initially, I think when it first happened, Wes, you and I were like, hey, that's pretty awesome that Kai won. And by the time he toes around, we do the winner's circle, we pick up our phone and start to catch up on like what's going on, and it's like full internet meltdown, and our phones are just melting down because Kai won it. And that really was a moment where we're like, wow, this is like a whole different level when this audience and this guy wins one of these races. And so I think that was a really jumping off moment for this kind of melding the two together that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think, the big thing is he shouldn't have won. In in a lot of people's eyes, he shouldn't have won. We knew, I know what kind of racer Kai is, and I know what kind of racer a lot of our guys are. Some of the most competitive people in drag racing. I don't care about pro mod. I don't care about Top Fuel. I don't care about the categories. Is a lot of the MPK guys. Myself, Murder Nova, Kai Kelly, Scott Taylor, Jeff Lutz, and just to name a few, right? I could keep going. Some of the most hardcore guys that want to take the things to the stripe and to the finish line and get the W is these guys that we race with. And so to get them to come over here and intermingle with pro mod guys, I think it's awesome. I think a lot of us have kind of, we've been doing this for 10 or 12 years with cameras in front of our face. And so we kind of, not that we're turning it on, but you kind of know, like, hey, this is a moment. We need to capture this moment for these people, right? Like, these people aren't going to see this moment unless I explain this moment to them.
Yeah, and I mean, you couldn't 100%. Have. I mean, it is a moment, and that's what I feel like our job is, to create moments. And I'll tell you, going into Winter Series last year, we had a ton of interest, right? I think I had 130 race teams in Pro Mod alone reach out to me and say they wanted to run all 3 Winter Series races, and we knew we needed to get that number at or below 80 to have them to be able to really execute at the level that I want to execute. And it was tough. And so when you sit back, and I've got a dry erase board in my office, and I'm going, all right, we got Kai Kelly wants to run. We got Scott Taylor wants to run. We got Robin Roberts wants to run. We got, like the Jimmy Taylor. These are guys I want to get involved, but do I leave some tried and true pro mod guy on the sidelines to bring them in? And to me, the answer was, fuck yeah, we do. Like, these guys got an audience. I'm bringing eyeballs. Like, this is just the way business is done. This is how it works. And so we brought him in, and I kind of had an internal conversations. Like, there's one of two ways this can go. One way is that we prove that there are levels to this shit, and that these guys come in and struggle. And that's going to be a storyline. That's going to be something we're going to have to do with whatever we can. Yeah. Or exactly what happened is they're going to come in and show people that they're no joke, that they belong in this conversation, mention my name in the same breath as Stevie Jackson's or, Todd Tutterow or whomever else. Like, we're here to play. And that's exactly what we saw unfold. And we put a lot of the attention on, obviously Kai Kelly for winning the race. And it was an incredible moment. I mean, if it wasn't, you think about the car, the all the things that were going against him.
When he did it, I said, look, man, I don't know if he knows. And I still don't know if he understands what he did. Nobody else will probably ever do. I mean, to be realistic, with the car, with when he did it, with the way he did it, with any of that stuff, like what he did, I don't know that anybody else will ever be able to duplicate. If one of us come in, let's just say myself or Murder Nova, and we come in and we win one of these races, right? Well, we did it. We're going to do it with a pro mod, and we're going to do it because we have the right equipment. It's not that Kai didn't have the right equipment, but if you're to put it on paper, it didn't look like it, right?
Right.
And
I mean,
so,
it felt like a square peg, round hole situation.
for sure.
And I was stoked that he was going to be there, but I remembered back to Virginia, I think in the fall, or maybe it was the late spring, he went 359 in PDRA Pro Boost trim. And I'm like, homeboys got it. They're right there. And the way it unfolded, and it wasn't just him. I mean, it was Sean Ellington, getting in the field. And in recent months, it's been Callie Mills. I mean, Callie was like, I think she was top 8 car at the U.S. Street Nationals. Robin Roberts obviously has a hot rod. Scott Taylor surprised us last year, ran really. It was like his first outing with the Pro Mod car, and he runs the way he does. So one of the things that I give you guys a lot of credit for, and when we put you on the cover of the magazine as our racer of the year a few years back, that was rooted in the fact that I personally didn't think people appreciated the level of racing that was happening. I don't care if it was happening on an industrial road in Las Vegas that's covered in sand or at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Y'all were letting off the butt. Like, you guys were taking the tree 15, 16 weekends a year. That's a pro level bite. And I think that's what we're seeing. Like, that's
for sure.
You guys are good by nature. You've been good for a long time, but the amount of racing you did, you've got to feel like that's contributed to where you're at right now.
There's no doubt. I mean, some people that have not done it, don't understand how competitive No Prep Kings was. And I heard Jimmy Taylor on a podcast a couple days ago talk about it. And it was nice to hear him talk about it, because it was from somebody coming in after the fact to go, hey, like, I came in running 380s and that wasn't even close enough to do anything with. And I had to very quickly, I realized I better have a low 370 car on my steel roof and quarter car on these unprepped racetracks. And then he mentioned like that, how No Prep Racing helped train him as a drag racer as far as driving. And it's nice to hear people say that, because that guy actually experienced it and understands what it's like. But you're right. Not only were we letting go the button on racetracks at 15, 16 times a year, but also we were letting the button on a flashlight on a street another literally probably 30 or 40 times a year, So put all that together, and you have so much grit that you have to compete with, and that a lot of competitive racers, even on the street, right? There was a hustle side of it, and then there was drag racing, and then you had to be good on the light, and then you had to look for a flashlight and make sure you were on it and all this type of stuff. It's trained you to be ready for almost anything. And so when we get to something like, pro mod race, it's kind of like, hey, there's some normalcy to this, like repetitive. We can do this every time,
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you right now, Ryan, like, I couldn't be more excited. And I guess we'll make this official right here in front of God and the World Wide Web that Ryan Martin is going to be making his pro modified debut at next weekend's Drag Illustrated World Series of Pro Mod. This isn't exactly a super well kept secret, but we were kind of waiting to announce this and make this. And we obviously work in, close proximity with you. And we wanted to make sure that all the stars and moon were aligned and everything that needed to happen was going to happen. But it's here. It's upon us. I got to tell you, thank you just on our behalf, because this really is a dream realized. Like, for me, like, whenever I was watching TV as a kid, when I was watching pro wrestling, I was a fan of Vince McMahon. Sure. When I watch UFC, I'm a fan of Dana White. When I watch NBA, I'm a fan of Adam Silver, right? Sure. When I'm a fan of P.T. Barnum. I'm a fan of Don King, right? Like, I love promotion and I love promoters, and I've studied it. And to have this opportunity now to bring in the biggest names in NHRA, along with the biggest names in street racing and outlaw door slammer racing, the Jay Coxes, the Lyle Barnetts, the Stevie Jacksons, the Spencer Hydes. I mean, and now Ryan Martin, you got to admit, this is pretty unbelievable.
Well, look, man, I apologize for the phone in the background, first of all. But look, man, you were exactly right. I feel like the names that you mentioned, like when you talk about pro mod racing, I don't think of myself, and I don't think and I love, this is my buddy and I love him to death. I don't think of Murranova, and I don't think of Kai Kelly. I don't think of those guys. I think of everybody else that you just mentioned. And so for me, I feel like we're hopping into a realm of, hey, these are all the other badass guys. Now we got to compete with these guys, and I think everybody wants to see, how do we mesh with those guys? How does it work out? How do we mesh with them? So, man, it's exciting. I'm excited to be able to be part of it. I was trying to come into the very first one of this. I watched it very closely last year, cheering on Sean and Kai and things like that. And this year, I kind of in the middle of it, I said, look, I'm going to finish my pro mod. We're going to get it done, and that's where I want to be. I do feel like with our show on pause or not coming back, or who knows, we don't know where that is, right? Where's the next thing for me in professional drag racing? I had my eyes set on the Winter Series and maybe some NHRA stuff and possible Midwest Pro Mod, things like that. And so obviously the quicker I can get my car done, the better off it was. And I was shooting for that first race this year. Here we are in the third race. My car's still not done. Other than somebody else's, and I'm pretty stoked about that, which I want to talk about. But yeah, man, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me that you do this for people during the winter time. I know it's hectic for all of us, for us as racers to get ready for it. I know it's hectic for you guys to put it together. And if you didn't love the sports, you wouldn't do it. So I think from all of us racers, I will just say I appreciate it,
Well, thanks, man. I mean, it's a labor of love for us. Like, if I could do 100 of them, I would. I mean, and I think there's a lot of promise. I really do. I can tell you that we're working on the TV angle, if not all day, every day, damn near it. We recognize that is, I'm not going to say it's a fix-all, but man, is it a shortcut / cheat code to access a lot of eyeballs. We've kind of put our toe in the water with this Amazon Prime deal via Flow Racing. We're stoked about that, and I think we're just kind of scratching the surface of what's really popular. But you led me to my next question. Tell us about how this came together with you hopping behind the wheel of this car. I know that you guys tried to shake this thing down in the weeks leading up to U.S. Street Nationals. Turbo car at the time. This is a whole conversation, but we could skip. You've got yourself.
We're skipping that part of the conversation.
Skip that.
I know. What are you talking about there? Is it the fact that turbos? I don't know what to tell you about that. Or is it that no. So look,
it's tough, man.
It is a tough conversation, but the easy part is we could talk about how I got to where I'm at. So basically, when it comes down to it, my car didn't quite get finished. There was a point in time where we hit a wall and just said, "There's literally." I can't tell you. I think there was 20 cars getting ready for this Pro Mod class, and it was so tough to try to squeeze my car in there to get wired. I mean, that's where it was, And so that was a thing. Around Thanksgiving, one of my really good friends in Australia is Frank Marchese. And a lot of you guys know Frank. Frank's been a staple in drag racing in Pro Mod for a long time. He has a magnificent engine shop in Australia. Arguably, he's the pro line of Australia, is what I would call him. He teamed up with the Frank and Wally Sabolics and Sabolics Construction, and they 2 years ago started building this unbelievable. We're going to go out and set records with this car. We want quarter-mile records. We want eighth-mile records. We want to do a twin-turbo combo. Essentially, they went out to try to do what Jimmy Taylor just did, to be completely honest. Jimmy Taylor beat him to the punch a little bit. There was a push for 4 or 5 of those cars to go do what they did, and Jimmy Taylor and Carl Stevens was the ones that actually made it happen. And I think once that happened, they set the bar pretty high, and there were some mishaps with their car. I think their car got done. The car that I'm driving got done about this time, maybe beginning of the year last year. It went out a couple times. There were some mishaps. It had to go back to the chassis shop. I think it scuffed the wall a little bit with whoever was driving it. And it went to RK Racecraft, and they had the car for a while. And look, if you've ever been in RK Racecraft, they're in my opinion, they're about the who's who of putting these pro mods together. And there's 35 pro mods to get ready that all have to be done tomorrow. And so it's so easy in a lot of these chassis shops, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, And so, with them living in Australia and being in Australia, it was hard for them to stay focused on making sure everybody knew that they wanted to come race. And so Thanksgiving comes around this year, and I just did my normal calls to people, and I called my friends, and I called Frank in Australia, and I said, "Hey, man, want to say hi, happy Thanksgiving. Am I going to see you at this first Pro Mod race?" He said, "Oh, mate, the car's not done yet. And we're out of sight, out of mind. Frank and Wally just bought this really nice new racetrack in Australia. They're trying to make drag racing super popular again over there in Australia. Their focuses are over there. It's not over here on the race car. The race car's not done. I don't really know what to do." And I said, "Well, look, man, I want to see him racing. I want to see those guys race." And I didn't know Frank and Wally super well. I do now, but I didn't know them really well. But Frank, I knew like a brother, right? And so I said, well, man, what can I do? He was like, well, maybe you could help me, maybe go talk to RK or whatever, and let's see if we can, if they don't have, we know what it's like. Maybe they don't have time, maybe they're behind. And I said, I tell you what, we'll go talk to them, and if we need to, we'll not reluctantly pull the car out of there. I've got some other resources in Oklahoma, and let me see if I can get your car ready for the first Winter Series race for you. And it wasn't for me. It was so these guys could come over and race. Like I love Frank enough that I wanted him to come race that car. And as literally the same conversation, we're on the phone. He says, Daniel is usually the one. Daniel Sabalix is usually the one to drive the car. He's the car owner, him and Wally, and that's father and son team. And Frank is a big partner, and he helped facilitate, put the whole car together, and it was all his dream. And he said, they're busy. Their focuses are getting this racetrack done. And I don't know that they want to come over here this year, but they want to see the car do good. And I said, okay, we'll come over and we'll help you run the car. And he's like, man, I don't know if it's in the cards for me to come over. I don't know if I can get it tested. I don't have the infrastructure. I don't have the truck and trailer. I don't have the team. I don't know what to do. And he's like, do you want to run the car? And I was like, well, man, I'm building a brand new Pro Mod that's almost finished, but yours is closer than mine. Yeah. So maybe we do that. So we went and talked to RK. Man, they banged it out for us, and it was already close. He was already on it. It was about to be done anyway. They banged it out for us, and we got it, as you just mentioned, to a test session before the second race and U.S. Nationals. And it was a twin-turbo Hemi deal, and we all kind of snicker when we talk about twin-turbo Hemi deals. They're either setting records or it feels like they're going out first round, and I hate to say it like that because that's just kind of how it feels. But we didn't have any better luck than anybody else. We beat on the car for 15 passes. And I told everybody, I told my team, I told Frank, I told Daniel, I told Wally, I said, if we can't go a 50, anything, I don't care if it's a 59 with a 9, I don't want to bring this car here and just be a class filler and not compete and not qualify. It doesn't sit right with me. I don't think it represents you guys well. It's not what I want to do. So we kind of back and punted, took the car back to Pro Line, and me and the boys stayed there for a week, and we thrashed and we put the car back together with a Harts Charger on it. They said, Frank said, we want a Harts Charger. We want to be competitive. We want all the right people to do it. What can you do for us? And so they trusted me to get the car right for them. We got the Harts Charger on it. We took it to Pro Line. We changed the rotating assembly over. Craig built us a set of headers. We converted it in 3 days. We had it back to RK for a final setup and a couple of wiring changes. And then, man, we went out and tested, and the first test session went fantastic. Steve Petty and Brandon Stroud helped us along the way, and we had the car dialed in about 10 passes.
Wow. Dude, I mean, all the more reason to be excited about this is to see you not only coming into this deal, but to be coming into this deal with that level of, I'm assuming, confidence, right? I mean,
I feel pretty good, man. Like, I did not feel good with the twins, but like, no kidding. I feel pretty good about the car. The car did everything we wanted it to do. It worked good in the heat. It's 60 footed well. I don't think it was any slower than a 920 60 foot every time we let go of the button out of 14 rips. So I think we have a good car, man. It's going to be up to me, right? So the boys have given us a good car. Frank and Daniel and Wally Sabalix have given me good equipment. Man, no pressure on me, but it's up to me to do good with it.
I love it, man.
I mean, we see that a ton, though. I mean, talking about the switchover and these guys being all these cars and combinations being so close, it comes down to the driver. It really does.
Yeah,
and it's crazy to say because we talk about the performance and how, all these different combinations and Pro Mod has really never been a class where you're focusing on reaction time. But when it comes down to eliminations and you sit up there and you look at all these reaction times and how tight these elimination rounds are, it literally does come down to the driver, which is interesting to see. But tell us, obviously diving into Pro Mod, you're still gonna be running your true 10.5 car at this race, right? So you're gonna be running both, kind of join a little small fraternity there that are running in multiple classes. But just, I mean, obviously the true 10.5 thing has been great, and you've gotten to experience the atmosphere and everything. But what do you expect, sort of stepping up to Pro Mod, making your Pro Mod debut here at World Series of Pro Mod on the biggest stage of the three? Do you feel like, you've been to the previous two events, you're used to the atmosphere, you're used to kind of how we do things? Is that going to help you at this point? And is driving 2 cars helpful, or is that a detriment in switching back and forth between the two when everything matters, like we talked about on the starting line?
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty dumb, probably, to be honest with you. But that being said, that's kind of what we do, right? So
we love it. We're here for it.
I've said before, and we've done the whole 2-car thing a couple times, and every time we do it, we were silly and we did it in MPK a couple times. Like they had an outlaw class and a big tire class, and we were testing one of the cars, and we're like, well, let's just enter them both. What's fine until you're making a lap in one, and then somebody's waiting at a golf cart at the big end to pick you up to take you to the other car that's at the staging lanes, while a whole other group of guys have to get your car back to the pit and start cooling it off while you're getting another group of guys ready to help you with the other car. So it's really silly, honestly. If I was smart, I would probably sideline the 10.5 car and just race the Pro Mod deal and try to do something fantastic for Frank and Daniel and Wally Sabolics, and do something good for those guys, because they've trusted me with a lot of money. They've trusted me with some great equipment. And they've literally put the program in my hands and said, Ryan, do what you want to do with it. And if I was smart, I would leave my car at home and I would just concentrate on Pro Mod. But we have such a good handle on a small tire car, and we haven't had a great showing. To be honest with you, we went out first round at the first race at the Winter Series, and that sucks. I don't ever like to go out first round anything, but we smoked the tires. We had one of the fastest cars there, smoked the tires. Honestly, I didn't have we qualified, if that's the word. We tested well at the winners at the U.S. Nationals, and I think we went a 94 in qualifying, testing, whatever you call it, for 10.5 stuff, and it was great. Had the record for a while until somebody snatched it away from us, and so all those things make me want to continue and make me want to push and get all them cars there. Also, my guys, right? So my guys have worked so hard with the Fireball car on 10.5s, and when I mentioned, hey, maybe we might leave it at home, I think Javi almost cried when I said that. So I was like, okay, I get it. I got to make everybody happy here. And the way to make everybody happy is run both cars. So we're taking the whole shop with us to the Winter Series. I'm literally shutting down my shop that runs day to day, 9 to 5. And my brother's filling in, and Larry that works here is filling in, a couple other guys. And we're going to have a whole bunch of people there to help us to run both cars. But I feel pretty good about it, man. You touched on one thing you said, and I so agree. And I think the finals said this, just proved this. Look at Derek Menholt, Stevie Fast in the finals. And that was, Derek knew what he had to do was go after the tree. And because of it, Derek went red. And I think Stevie cut up, you guys might remember, an 11 or something like that on the tree. But Derek had to do what he had to do. Well, that's what this Pro Mod racing has come down to. And it's exciting. You asked me if I was nervous or if I was ready or whatever. I don't know if I may be dumb, but I don't know if I'm nervous. I'm excited to be part of it, because let's be realistic. This is a Pro Mod series. It's not a small tire series. And I love it that you've let us bring our small tire stuff to it, but it's a small tire, it's a Pro Mod series. And that makes me feel happy to know that me and my guys and Frank and Wally and Daniel, we're all part of this now. And we're all part of this big thing, the biggest stage of the year. I mean, I think it's going to be. So I don't know, man. And I don't know if it's smart or not, but I'm not really nervous about it. I'm excited to get on board. I'm excited to go after the tree. I'm excited to see how tight this stuff is. I'm not scared to lose. None of that bugs me, but I have a feeling we're going to do pretty good.
I'm fired up for it, Ryan. I can't tell you, man. This deal is electric for a lot of reasons, but it's really this group of people, man. And like bringing these stars together, people that rarely race each other. Like, how long have the fans been dying to see how Ryan Martin's going to stack up against Stevie Jackson or Lyle Barnett, or, you know what I mean? Like, this is what, I mean, and for me, I feel like we owe everything to the fans. Like, our sport has really, outside of MPK and Street Outlaws, really almost every other sanction and series and event of all kinds in drag racing, so laser freaking focused on what do the racers need? What do the racers need? And of course we all want to do that, but we got to think about those people that are spending their money and sitting in the grandstands 10, 12 hours a day. We want to put on a show, dog. We've got to bring in that. We want to give fans the races they want to see. And they want to see Melanie Salemi versus Callie Mills. They want to see Lyle Barnett versus Scott Taylor. They want to see those matchups, yourself and Murder Nova going up against, the biggest names or Erica Enders. I mean, there's a potential that we could see you lined up against Erica Enders or Bo Butner. I mean, this is a really cool thing, man, and I couldn't be more proud of it, and I couldn't be more excited to see how Ryan Martin fares in Pro Mod competition. We're looking forward to seeing you late in the day on Saturday, buddy, and we appreciate your belief, your support, and everything you've contributed to the sport of drag racing. I promise you, listen to me, we're just getting started. We're all in this together, and we're just getting started, man. Ryan, we can't wait to see you in a couple of days. Hit me up if you need us, and we surely appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, very much.
Thank you, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Martin. More than one of us clap. Come on now. Help me out.
Two-man audience.
Two-man audience.
Two full clap.
Kyle Dvorak's in the green room clapping his ass off. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah,
See you soon. Guys,
Thanks,
I want to take you a quick second here and remind you that each and every episode of the West Buck Show is made possible by way of Redline Synthetic Oils, formulated to win, proven by you. We're talking about a brand trusted by the best in the business. Steve Torrance, Ty Tutterow, Callie Mills, Spencer Hyde, Scott Palmer, Tommy Franklin. The list goes on. These aren't just weekend warriors. These are champions, killers, and contenders who rely on Redline Oil to get the job done. Formulated to win, proven by racers like you. Check out their full product lineup at redlineoil.com. Guys, we've got the man of the hour who's got his hands full. They've been working on this thing nonstop, I'm sure, doing what, had me a little in my feels, taking the big tires and wheelie bars off and putting those aqua treads on. But I get it. It's Duck Week. The world is paying attention to lights out going on this weekend at South Georgia Motorsports Park. Of course, I'm talking about who I think would be a contender for Winter Series Rookie of the Year honors. I'm throwing his name in the hat right now. Let's give it up for Kyle Dvorak.
Kyle, we have a Winter Series Rookie of the Year honor this year, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it's a brand new award.
Yeah, we do.
Brand new award. And I got to tell you, Kyle, you're in the mix, dog. You're in the mix, dog. We're talking about you.
What an honor to even be on the stage in the first place. I mean, forget Rookie of the Series, just to be in the series, in the lanes with Ryan Martin, Erica Enders, all the ballers you just mentioned. That's so cool in its own right. So thank you all for the opportunity to live the dream, man.
Dude, man, it's been cool to see you. Like you qualified for the Snowbirds and then came into the chip draw and grabbed the mic. You were like, 32 of the baddest motherfuckers on the planet right here. I mean, it was all in flow. We're not telling people anything they don't know here, but and then like your interviews as well. Like you can tell your energy and excitement being a part of this. And I mean, that's like, we just got to talking with Ryan. That's what it's all about. Like we're here to put on a show. We're here for the fans. And I think that's been a great addition kind of in your Winter Series debut to see you bust out with that personality whenever you get the opportunity.
Oh, thank you all. It's like I've said it so many times the last 2 months, it's an absolute dream come true. You guys have seen me come up to the junior ranks on a higher stage. I worked on the cars to Tommy D, John Stanley, and to stage next to him, maybe leave first once or twice. That's how cool is that? I really can't even put the words together, man. I'm sitting here right now at South Georgia Motorsports Park. I made 2 hits in an RVW car today, and I'm going to make another one tonight for Q1. It was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was on the inaugural 30 under 30. And I remember in that article, we put, dreams to run Pro Boost. And I remember reading that, like, man, that's the dream. That'd be cool. But we're doing it, y'all. And I can't thank Rob Kohler, the Kohler family enough for the trust and putting me in the car. And we're going to do some great things together. We really are.
Dude, I saw it. We couldn't be more excited. Like, seriously, like watching you talk about 10 years ago, being a part of the DI 30 under 30, that inaugural class and part of that movement. And I've had my eye on you, and I've you, Jackie, your family, your mom, your dad, like we've been close for a long time. And I've been really proud to watch you stay involved, even if you had to, take that seemingly step down, right, from driver to crew guy and working on cars. Like we actually had this conversation with last week with Jordan Vandergriff and talking about how he found a way to stay in the conversation, to stay in the mix. And when the good Lord was willing, doors swung open, and here we are. And I think that you're a great example of that same kind of level of perseverance that's required, grit and determination to be, I think, successful in anything, but specifically drag racing. Like this sport's going to break your heart a lot, and you're going to feel like you're at the top of the mountain, and then the next day, you know, be crying on someone's shoulder. It's the nature of our game, but it's really rewarding to see this thing kind of come full circle. And I tell you, you really are a great fit for what we're doing. And I'm very, very confident in you being in that Rookie of the Year conversation for our Drag Illustrated Winter Series.
Thank you, guys. And I don't look at being out of the seat as a step down.
I agree.
It's different ways you put in your time. You keep yourself out there, like I heard you say at some point the last couple months, you know, driving the rig to the track, working on cars, even just being there hanging out. You're just keeping your face out there, keeping your name out there. I hope anybody listening to this take that into consideration or to heart of, you don't have to be in the seat to be doing something. You know, I've had some really cool opportunities over the years, and many years in a row where I didn't drive anything. And we're a Duck Week, and then we're going to World Series of Pro Mod. You know, I couldn't have even dreamed of this a year ago, 6 months ago, honestly. And here we are. So don't ever count yourself down and out, because the luck will turn around.
We're seeing it right now. And I mean, Mike mentioned this earlier. You guys come in your first Pro Mod race together with Kohler Racing, qualify for what was the quickest field in the history of pro modified drag racing, a brand of racing that's been around for 4 decades. And we have seen it reach a height that I don't know that any of us really thought was possible. But here we are in the thick of this. A little bit of heartbreak at race 2, the U.S. Street Nationals, go a 3:59 with Lee White calling the shots on the hot rod. Every reason in the world to be doing backflips, still somehow find yourself on the outside looking in, but brushed it off in our back for, you know, a third and final go round at the World Series of Pro Mod. Can you just talk to us a little bit about the pressure of that environment and how it differs? Because that's one of the things that we tend to say on the starting line a lot. If I had $1 for every time I looked at Nate Van Wagenen or Craig Cook, part of our Drag Illustrated team, and said pressure burst pipes, I mean, I'd have $1, a pocket full of ones, man, because you see guys, you know, red lights that are uncharacteristic, super late reaction times that are super uncharacteristic, some fumbles and bumbles that I think are just a product of the nerves that are produced with that kind of environment.
Yeah.
Can you just reflect on that for us a little bit and what that's been like? Like, it's one thing to make your, you know, to go to those races and race when you've been doing it for years, but to make your debut at those races is kind of rare.
Yeah, it's been in the back of my head for 10, 15, 20 years now. You know, looking at this big stage and wondering, you know, how would I stack up against these guys? You know, if or when the opportunity ever came, how hard will I fumble? When will I fumble? And will I be all right? Will I be an absolute stud like Lyle? You know, will I not miss? And I've been doing all right. You know, I've been doing okay. You know, not the greatest, but I haven't missed it too bad yet. But there's plenty of room ahead of us to do great or not so great, man. The pressure is huge. You know, I have the opportunity right now. This is my opportunity to go out there and get it done, and I'm swinging with everything I got.
We're talking about required. Well, ahead, you're at Duck Week. You're at South Georgia right now, and several guys are making the switch over and then going to go right to World Series of Pro Mod next week. Do you look at that as an advantage? I mean, maybe just getting more runs on the car versus, you know, basically have to change a lot of stuff over, then change it back. Yeah. Does that is there any worry that it's going to take you out of your tuning window for World Series that you've been in for the Winter Series up to this point?
I don't think it's any sort of an advantage to be here at all, honestly. We really should be somewhere else on slick prep, putting in the 100 runs that the whole rest of the field has done, you know. So an advantage being here to go to World Series? No, probably not. But are we having a lot of fun right now? Hell yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got a lot of work ahead of Sunday, Monday, switching the whole car back over, service the motor, service everything. But we took as detailed notes as we could of our Pro Mod setup, and we'll hit it Tuesday morning, World Series of Pro Mod testing, and hopefully we'll pick back up right where we left off and find 1-2 numbers and be in the middle of the pack instead of 36 or wherever we wound up.
I think I got to be honest. I mean, this is one of the selling points that I've been promoting about pro modified racing for a hot minute now, is that just how much racing you can do with one of these cars. And you think about the requirement that's, that is the expenses, right? These things are not cheap. It takes a lot of money to run them. And the guys that have the financial wherewithal to do that, they want to run them. You know what I mean? And so I understand that. And I am glad that I'm glad it exists. Like, I think it's cool. I don't think it's for everyone, right? I don't know that everybody wants to make that switch and do that kind of work, but I'm glad that that opportunity exists for racers. Like, I'm glad that a guy that, maybe wants to race a lot in the off season and keep his summers open, or doesn't want to, commit to a points earning series, can go run 3 Winter Series races, go run, maybe a radial tire race at the end of the season, like No Mercy, and run, the season opening or the lights out second race, basically, of the Radial Outlaws series. Like, I'm glad there's opportunities for guys to do that stuff, but I can understand the concern, or like, I don't know if we should have been doing this, man. But for me, knowing how much you put into this, I'm glad to see you behind the wheel at a high level. I mean, there's no doubt, Radial versus the world. I mean, I'm just glad that you're able to say that. Like, you're shutting a door on a race car that's got RVW on the window or Pro Mod on the window. Like, I'm pretty happy for my boy Kyle.
Baby. It says,
yeah, I'm pretty happy. I mean, this we've come a long way since racing backwards at Bandimere Speedway, right?
Yeah, long ways, man. And I'm glad that you mentioned Jackie's name just a couple minutes ago, because when I walked over here to a somewhat quiet space to go do this, she's in the pits right now, putting rear steer in the car and moving weight around. Like, she's a real badass behind the scenes getting it done. So I just wanted to give her another moment there of appreciation, because I think everyone involved in this camp, Jimmy Dale, Poland, the whole Big Hat Mafia, every single one of them, they all know Jackie's the boss. She runs the show.
Yeah, no, Jackie's the real deal, man. I've loved watching your guys' relationship develop over the years. I remember when you met. It's like crazy to see this whole thing become what it has. And I'm proud of you guys. I mean, I'll tell you what, my wife, Alicia, is my best friend. We do everything together. We're together all the time. Like, my whole team knows it, that normally if I'm on a conference call, she's somewhere
right now.
Yeah, no, she's not in here right now, but we're together a lot, and I love just seeing that type of thing. Because I feel like, I mean, we've got an opportunity when we've got the eyes of our community on us. We've got the eyes of the racing world on us. I want to set a good example, and I want to show that, like, hey man, there ain't nothing wrong with loving your wife and being a good parent and being a Christian and doing the right thing and trying to set a good example for people. And like, I think that that's okay. We need more people that are trying to do that, or doing that even unknowingly. And I think you and Jackie are a great example of that, as are your own parents. So yeah. Tell me, let's go straight into Duck Week. Like, you're there, you're testing Q1 tonight. What's RVW looking like competition wise? How are you guys feeling about how your testing has gone so far? Are you going, hey, I'm going to win this son of a bitch and roll to Bradenton and win that one too? I mean, what's it looking like down there?
You can't come here with an attitude otherwise. I mean, yeah, sure, I know we're a little behind the curve on a couple of the other cars that are here that stay in RVW trim, some of the cars that stay in Pro Mod trim, but with the talent and the parts and the tools and the relationships, the sponsors, Carlisle, Redline, Strange, Fuel Factory, everyone on our side, we're going to get it done. We haven't made a full pull to the stripe in RVW trim yet, but it's only Wednesday, dude. We got like qualifiers and 3 more days of testing in the morning, and we're gonna knock it out of the park here tonight or tomorrow. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
How different is driving the car? I know you haven't made a full pull yet. I don't know how far you've made it under power, but like, even with your initial reactions to taking the car from big tires and bars where it's, hanging the front wheels, dragging rocker panels, and then going to extending the shock and doing the old late model dirt tracking style down the racetrack. What has that experience been like?
So I've been on drag radials before. I drove the stick weld Camaro that Jimmy Dale's driving now. I drove that car at Snowbirds We went 4.0s, and I've been on radials before that, 440s, 450s. So I had a good idea of what I was in for as far as like the tire doesn't snap up and grow on the burnout. You know, you got to keep the RPM real low. You can't drag it across the starting line. And I really missed that shit, first of all. You know, put me back in a pro mod car immediately. I want to make sure my thoughts are clear on that, okay? But I'm so thankful to be here because I know that when Lee White hits it right, which will be real soon here, it's going to truck like an absolute monster through the middle of the racetrack. Like I was looking at front split times when Lyle Barnett was in this car a race or two ago on radials versus what we did in pro mod trim. And it's just wild that a tire the third of the size can go that much faster earlier. So as much shit as I want to talk, I got to give respect to what these things can do in this trim. And I cannot wait to get out of the car. Just that really got from a pure driver's perspective, pro mod I feel is more demanding, a little bit more rowdy, a little bit more fun to drive because it's walking, it's sliding, the tire's talking to you. And a radial tire, you're either on it or you're off it. You know, there's really no there's no in between to work with there. So I mean, pro mod to the front, obviously, but I can't wait to go out there and trap a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, and just have that loss of breath. And I had a good conversation with Lyle yesterday morning actually about man, you rock back and forth constantly. You've been at the front in both cars. You know, talk to me a little bit. You know, give me a little bit of what to expect, and I can't wait to get my shit rocked. But I'm more looking forward to World Series next week. Let's just put it that way.
We're excited too, man. And smart man. And
got his priorities in order.
Hey man, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's on big tires and bars, like everybody on the planet's watching, you know?
Well, what about Jimmy Dale? What's the picture you got in here?
Oh yeah. So I just wanted to I was going to save this till the end, but we can talk now. My boy, JD, it's 3-second Jimmy now. It's big Jimmy when you talk to me. Went 399 with a 4 earlier today. His first ever 3-second pass. I'm pretty stoked for old boy.
Yeah, me too, man. We only got acquainted at Snowbirds. That was the first time we'd ever met, and I knew within just a couple minutes of talking to him in Poland that he was going to do well. He was going to be a real superstar in that car. He was asking the right questions. He had the right mindset where I knew he'd be very, very successful. I mean, I knew who he was. It's hard to not know his face nowadays being in this game. But I never really followed him that closely or anything, so I didn't really know too much of what he was about. But I'm a big fan, man. The dude's awesome. Some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, I just can't believe it because it's wildly entertaining. And he went his first 3 today, man. And I was in the other lane. He left on me and he threw the chutes in my face. How cool is that?
I couldn't be more excited for him. I have gotten to know Jimmy over the course of the last few years and Poland as well. And I'm just happy for him, man. They're rough around the edges and they're wild, and then boys wild out on me sometimes. And I'm like, all right, we gotta calm down just a touch, boys. But they're good people that really love this sport and love this community of people and want to do something good. And we need more stars like Jimmy Dale. We need more people that are, you know, putting themselves out there, because I didn't get a chance to talk about that with Ryan Martin, but like I think that's some of what those guys do. Live their lives in many ways in front of a camera is not easy. And it's hard.
He's really got some personality, man. It's so entertaining. It's so much fun to hang out with them. Meeting so many new people. They're at the racetrack every single weekend around the country. So I've had the opportunity to be introduced to so many people that I never otherwise would have crossed paths with before, you know. And having him as a teammate, you know, I look across the pit and I'm like, that dude's got a following, you know. He's a big deal, you know. The man's hot right now, and I couldn't be more thankful to be aligned with him together. You know, I think we build off of each other's strengths. It's it's been wild for me to look at this relationship and be the more seasoned a little bit at speed, you know, kind of a little bit of a role reversal. You know, I didn't really picture myself ever handing the ropes down, you know.
Yeah, dude, you're getting to be a mentor. I think it's a very valuable experience. Like I really do. I think that, you know, I always tell people one of my rules is I try to have, it's like dividing your community or your friends or the people that you surround yourself with into thirds. Like I always try to spend time around, you know, a third of the time I spend around people or the people I talk to with people that are where I want to be. Right. The guys that have achieved more than me, the guys that, you know, I'm aspiring to be like them. A third of my time with peers, people that are fighting the same battles that I'm fighting, that are in the same kind of station of life that I am in, because it's great to have someone that relates to what you're facing, right? Or relates to what you're you're battling that very day. But also we all have egos, and it's very healthy to have an opportunity to work with people that are aspiring to be where you are. Right? People that are working their way up. And I think if you divide your life up and kind of have pay any sort of attention to like the company you keep, having it divided up like that is important. And I know that like some of my favorite stuff to do is work with Jimmy Dale and Poland, who are trying to put on better races and trying to grow their brand and things that I've spent 20 years doing. And I love a late night. I had a late night phone call with Michael Poland last night, you know, just talking about some things they're facing and people knocking them off and trying to steal their deal and working through those various things with them. Or when I get an opportunity to work with Jarrell Aplow, one of our buddies from the Northeast, he's trying to put together his own Outlaw 8th Mile Pro Mod deal and spending some time chatting with him. Like I love those opportunities to try to help someone build something. So I think you'll find there's some real value for you in a lot of different ways to have that opportunity to be a mentor to Jimmy Dale.
And it's just wild for me to wrap my head around the fact that like you texted me today and I'm able to sit here with you. You know, I still, even with this opportunity to run World Series, run RVW, like I still just don't look at myself being in that position, but we're here doing it. You know, but like you said with the thirds, you know, I'm looking up at Lyle. I have this opportunity and I'm able to pass on some of my knowledge to Jimmy Dale. It's just such a cool spot to be in. And I really can't believe it. And can't thank the Kohler family enough for swinging this deal for me, man. It's just unreal.
I got to tell you, whenever I told Rob, thank you myself, because I want you racing for us. I want you a part of our brand. And it's like, whenever that whole thing started to present itself, it's like, I told Rob, I said, listen, I'll move mountains to make sure Kyle Dvorak's in that car at the Winter Series. And, I'm really happy for you. And it's selfish too. Like, don't think it's not selfish. We look at this stuff through a lot of different lenses. And one of them is like, how can we build this and who do we have to have involved to build it? And to have a young, marketable, well-spoken star like yourself behind the wheel of one of these cars is important. Last thing I want from you, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be butchering this story, but weren't I standing beside the car when you guys were racing, like maybe your first couple of events in like Top Sportsman or Top Dragster, and it backfired the hood scoop off of it, like behind the water box? Where, with the blue and orange car, where were we?
ADRL, RIP, Texas, somewhere. I think it was the first ADRL of the season, maybe 2013 or maybe 2012. Yeah, we had a big old sunny 762 was our early nitrous days, and we figured out what not to do in that pass. That was for sure.
I was standing like 10 feet from the car, and for what you go to whirl it over and go blues, and shit's flying, hood scoops flying, and I thought, wow, I just almost died. I tell my wife all the time how dangerous the racetrack is. Like, you've got to keep your head on a swivel. There is no place here that's safe. No place. There's
back
not
in those ADRL
place.
days, man. Those early ADRL days, you had to pick, and there's a safe line. Like, once these guys get up there and get closer, a lot of guys were trying stuff, experimental stuff, lightweight stuff. Like, a lot of guys were really. It's like a throwback to the early days where it wasn't as buttoned up and everybody's got all the latest and greatest and best stuff like we see now. I think that anybody that follows Pro Mod like in the last 10 years,
I think in ADRL days,
misperception that it's,
if you were running
that's how
Pro
it's always
Extreme,
been.
if you were running Pro Extreme or Pro Nitrous back in those days, you pretty much had to have on like a work shirt and Red Wing work boots. Like you needed to have like a mechanic shirt on with 2 or 3 buttons undone, a cigarette hanging out of your mouth, no sleep.
That's the way. Those were the good
that's
days,
the way
man.
it was built, man.
Yeah,
it was.
That's how it was back then.
That was my first ever introduction to pro mods. Fast door slammer. Was running junior dragster, ADRL Gateway 2009. Those were the free ticket days. That was when they closed the gates at noon. They were over capacity. Pro Extreme was like mid 370s then or something. Yeah. And that was the first time I'd ever seen 3-second door cars. And ever since then, it's just taken my life by the balls and taken me on this journey that we are here right now. That race turned my life into where we sit at this very moment.
Well, you know, and I'll share this story briefly and we'll cut you loose, Kyle. I really appreciate the time. But it's funny that you say that because I want to give credit where credit's due as well. I was at the ADRL event the first time they went to Charlotte to ZMAX Dragway. I was in Michael's backyard. I could have probably, if my arm was as good as it was when I was young, I probably could have got a baseball to Mike's house. That's an exaggeration. It's like 40 minutes away. But anyways, the race got rained out. If you remember, this was the year that Tim McCamus had taken over. Tim McCamus, chassis builder, Tim McCamus race cars had taken over as president of the series. We roll into ZMAC. There's a lot of enthusiasm that the ADRL, who'd been to these kind of small to medium-sized venues for years, was going to the Taj Mahal, the Bellagio of drag strips, ZMAX Dragway, and it rained cats and dogs. I mean, pouring rain, total disaster. And this was still in the era of like Wes not knowing everybody, like not having all these connections. And I just found myself in those situations a lot of times just alone and sad. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have anyone to hang out with. I don't have anybody's trailer to go to where I'm not showing up hat in hand. And Mike and I talk about this all the time. Like, we spent our whole lives racing with our old man, like, or with our dads. So it's like, it's still to this day foreign to go to the racetrack and not have a dog in the fight, right? Like, not to have our truck or our trailer, you know, there. And it kind of makes it, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, I'm not the guy that's going to go hang out at your pits all weekend. I don't know. It's your house. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just something I've had a hard time shaking. But I remember going to my hotel, pouring rain, sitting in my hotel room alone, watching ESPN2, and the World Series of Poker comes on. And I still have the notebook right here behind my desk. But I carried this little leather-bound notebook. My wife got me one of these, like, old school leather-bound notebooks, and I kind of collect them now. I love writing stuff down. Mike makes fun of me. I write everything down. But I had this notebook and I'm watching the World Series of Poker and I go, who watches this? Like, why does anyone watch this? And I'm no sort of card player or anything. And I'm sitting through it. And as I'm watching it, it's the 10-gallon hat wearing cowboy. It's the, you know, chick with the dark sunglasses on that are real big and she's got headphones on. It's like the college age mathematician. There's the trust fund baby, some Vegas influencer. And I'm starting to like catch on to the story and like the good guys and bad guys at the table. And like, this is the old school dude and this is the new generation guy. And the next thing I know, I'm like holding my breath, waiting for the river card. You know what I mean? I'm like, what are they going to draw? You know? And I found myself going, dude, if they can do this with poker, why can't we do this with drag racing? And I literally in that day wrote in my notebook, World Series of Pro Mod, 100,000 to win, winner take all, invite only. Like, all the key elements were literally written on paper. And I have like my performance coach that I work with always challenge me. He says, be careful what we write down, Wes, because it tends to be when you write it down, it happens. So don't write it down if we don't want it to happen. And I wrote those things down, and to think however many years later, I don't even know what year that was. Here we are now, talking about World Series of Pro Mod and the biggest stage and the biggest, richest and all this thing. It's really crazy. It's super surreal. And I just like am humbled by it. It's crazy though, right?
I think that was 2011 or 12 was that year, because I rode 2 ZMAX with Ty Tutterow. Just the two of us kids. We were rolling back country roads, 2 lanes. We had like $100,000 worth of shit in the bed of this truck. And that is, I remember that memory for me as well. Like, wow, this is incredibly cool, and I want to stay around this as long as I can.
Well, here we are, brother. Kyle, I can't wait to see not only what you do this weekend at Donald Long's big Lights Out. What is this? Lights Out 17?
Yeah, 17.
Lights Out 17.
This is my first one.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, man, it's undeniable what Donald's built down there. I'm super excited for you this weekend on radials, but I'm excited to see you shed those aqua treads and put the big tires and bars back on that old girl and get ready for the biggest, richest pro mod drag race in the history of the known universe, the World Series of Pro Mod. So, Kyle, be safe, and we'll see you in a few days, brother.
Thank you. I'll see you next week.
Appreciate it, boss.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey guys, I want to take a quick second and give a shout out to our friends at Strange Engineering. For more than 50 years, Strange Engineering has been a household name among racers and crew chiefs, supplying hardcore racing and performance street driveline and suspension components that flat out get the job done. From rear ends and axles to brake struts and shocks, if it's under the car and it matters, Strange has you covered. Don't just race, race Strange. Learn more at strangeengineering.net. Mike, JT, boys, we are, it's time for, I would argue, the main event. I would argue that it's the main event. Not only are we headed into the main event of the Drag Illustrated Winter Series, we're heading into the main event of the Wes Buck Show here today, February 18th, 2026, the day that Tommy DeApril joined the show. What's up, buddy?
Guys, can you hear me okay? I can't hear you.
Yeah, we got you, Tommy.
Can you hear us? Oh, shoot.
Oh, you're loud and clear, bud. You
sound great.
I lost the sound right when Kyle left.
Okay, leave and come right back. We'll hold it together. JT, kick him off and come right back, and I bet it'll pick up.
Weird.
I'm excited to have
the other way
He
around.
Sounded great, right? I'm
yeah,
like,
I
oh,
know,
man.
right?
He'll probably come back and sound like he's a robot. So let's see.
Ryan Martin's back. Oh.
All right, I got you.
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
We're back.
It's just like you said.
Yeah, I knew that would be the case. But here we are, man. Tommy, thank you so much for joining us, brother. It seems like this is long overdue. I introduced I talked about you joining us earlier in the show, and it's like, I don't know how long we've been friends, almost 2 decades, it seems like, I think somewhere around that. And you've been a columnist in the magazine for what seems like forever, without question, the most consistent hardcore columnist we've ever had in the history of Drag Illustrated.
Can always depend on Tommy. We're never worried about him getting his column in. It's the first thing in. Like when we start an issue, bam, it's the first thing that comes across my desk. Nate's already got it.
I tell people all the time, if you want to see how to be a great columnist or a contributor to a publication or a media outlet, look at Tommy, because I've had hundreds of people ask me about writing a column in the magazine or on the website. And I always tell them the same thing. You better be ready, because the first story comes easy. You've been waiting to tell this story your whole life. You, in the back of your mind, you've thought, I want to put pen to paper on this particular thing. And that one comes pretty easy. The second one is pretty easy as well, because you're getting to stick in there all the stuff that didn't fit in the first one, right? But then when you get to number 3, that's really when reality hits, when you're staring at a blinking cursor or a blank sheet of paper and go, oh no, I've got to do this every 30 days, like indefinitely. I don't know if I have that many stories to tell or that many things to say, but you've done a fantastic job with it, Tommy. And man, I'm just excited to see you. I will give you credit. This has been a recurring theme. We had Jordan Vandergriff on here last week, who kind of was racing at a high level and then kind of took a step back and found himself on the sidelines, did the pit reporting for Fox Sports, which we were really encouraging of and supportive of. Kyle Dvorak, same thing. I mean, he was kind of on the sidelines, crewing on cars, getting in where he could fit in. Now he's back behind the wheel, but you've done much the same. Like, you have stayed involved with the sport, whether you were driving a headlining program or not. And I commend you for that. But I can't tell you how thrilled we are and grateful to have the man, the myth, the legend himself, former IHRA Pro Mod World Champion Tommy DeApril, back in the saddle and a part of what we're building in Bradenton. So thank you, brother, for believing in us.
Yeah, I do believe in it. It's been quite a ride, and I think of how long I've been doing this. But sometimes you step back for perspective, and you have to go, hey, man, is what I'm doing right now really healthy? And when I step back for a while, and I step back from a great team, I just had to do some things for me and to ground myself. And I think that was one of the best things I did, because when I did come back, the focus was totally different. And I think I'm more prepared and better than I've ever been right now. And that's because my head's right.
I think and you can tell, I mean, the way you guys came back, to be honest, Tommy, was like, everybody wonders. It's like, okay,
awesome,
this guy's
man.
has been, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Put your phone on.
I'm not hearing you again, Wes. Sorry.
JT, kick him out. Send him a text to tell him to put it on. I bet he's getting a text or something, and it's changing the audio signal.
Yeah, I lost you again, Wes.
1 second.
All right.
We're going to, hey guys, JT, can you handle that real quick? Let's see if we can grab Tommy back here in a second. And I'll, JT, give me a thumbs up if you want me to roll into a Q&A session or if you want me to. Okay, I'm getting the break signal, ladies and gentlemen. This is a live show. This is what happens when you do it live. You run into some technical difficulties, we can work through it. Why don't you guys take a quick second, let me know where you're checking in, where you're watching from, and also if you have any questions that you want us to handle at the end of the show, I'd love to run through some of your questions in our little Ask Wes segment. But Tommy DeApril, we got you back, brother. I think we were just talking about how great it is to have you back, how grateful I am to have you back. I'm curious, as someone who's been doing this a long time, immediate reactions, like was there any shell shock to seeing Pro Mod have evolved to the level that it has? And I'm not at all disparaging where our class has come from, but I think we could agree that it's a country mile from where we are today. This thing has evolved a lot. The cars are different. The technology has improved. The level of competition across the board has risen dramatically. What was your just initial reaction of diving into this these shark-infested waters?
Well, I've kept up with it like anybody would, and also I've been with Al Billis here and there running his car, so it really wasn't out, but we weren't competing in a series. So to see the speeds and see everything that's increased has been tremendous, obviously. It's become, and again, my column's called The Real Deal because I'll speak the truth. This is less of a manhandling driver's race than it used to be. We used to hold RPM at 5,000, 6,000 RPM, handbrake, clutch. I mean, yeah, these were days where I learned from Quayne Stott how to drive a race car, and he taught me well. And so when we started getting more automated, it was easy for me because I bracket raced forever, and we still do. So it basically is the same as my bracket car. Your brake, your button. It's a lot faster. Don't get me wrong. I mean, and the cars can be, out of hand in a minute. They are not by any means a bracket car. But the procedure is very much the same. But the speeds, when we got back in and we brought that new car out in Orlando, within a burnout, I felt comfortable. And I think it was about 3 runs before I wanted to make a full run. Not because I couldn't have. I just think your body needs to be acclimated to how fast the car is and make sure that I am with it or ahead of it, not behind it. And lo and behold, we win the first race out with it. So I can't say anything else, but Mike and Julie from R&R Rods. I mean, all of our guys that are helping us out, they're phenomenal. And I get I always call it, I get the easy part because I really believe that the team, the money people have to put in, the crew chiefs that do what they do. Mark Savage is helping us out here. That speaks volumes. So let me give credit where credit's due. The Lord put me back in this seat for a reason, and I'm loving every minute of it.
It's been an amazing thing. Like when you go to these events, Tommy, and it's like, I know I sound biased. I've obviously drank, the Pro Mod Kool-Aid or whatever, but I do think it is what an opportunity. I think about it from like an industry or community perspective. Could you, kind of give a sense of, it's a real coming together, it feels like. I mean, the mood is good. There's optimism in the air. There's energy and excitement and electricity in the air. And it's kind of a who's who. And I think about the opportunity this represents for brands and businesses in our space, people that are trying to grow, to come up the ranks as a driver. These are the type of events that you really need to be at. I mean, I hate to say it, but like kind of guilty by association, right? I mean, you're going to see the biggest teams in the NHRA, the biggest teams in the PDRA, the most successful drivers from all walks of the racing life in one location at one time. I mean, short of a trade show, those opportunities don't really exist outside of the Winter Series.
No, you won't see this but once a year here in Florida. You won't see it because there's too many things going on. When I'm at that race next week and we're there, it's like everybody is there. There's nothing else going on. So when it is the World Series, yeah, it's big, it's bad. It's the biggest thing I've ever been involved in terms of Pro Mod. And we were in the days of IHRE running 52 cars in the staging lanes, trying to qualify for 16. It was big stuff then, but it tapered off. Now it's coming back. It's coming back very strong. And I think this series shows it without what you all have been doing here to promote this and getting the energy back, I don't think we'd have what we have. The best of the best, period. You know, when you say you win a championship, I mean, if this series was competed all year long, oh my gosh, you know, you would never have such a crown jewel winner. But again, I really feel that you can have 30 of these races a year and have 30 different winners. I mean, that's how competitive.
What do you make of that? Because I think you're exactly right. Like, one of the little fun facts about these Drag Illustrated produced events is we've never had a repeat winner. And I think, you know, it says a couple of things. One is our focus has been on a singular thing. We haven't bounced around to a bunch of different stuff. Like, it's been really about pro modified. And we planted our flag many moons ago and said, this is what we believe the future of our sport is. This is where we feel the opportunity is. This is where we feel the energy is. And we're going to pursue that. But it does also speak to the level of competition that, like, it's anybody's ball game. If you qualify for that field by way of the chip draw and just the quality, the talent, you can win it. I mean, we've seen it multiple times. Steve King win from way back in the field, 28 or 30th or whatever. Spencer Hyde in 2023 winning the race from the 32nd qualifying spot. Like, it's crazy. And what do you make of, like, feeling, do you embrace that notion that it's really probably going to be you who makes the difference? I mean, we've seen that be the case, but I don't know it's ever been as intense as it is right now, because there are so many cars that are so close together. We talk about this a lot. Our 32-car field was spread across 0.04 of a second at the U.S. Street Nationals. I anticipate it being every bit that close next weekend in Bradenton for the World Series of Pro Mod presented by Red Line Oil. So do you love that it's falling on Tommy D's shoulders to probably be the difference maker?
Well, I love it, because when we go bracket racing, if you're not on it, you're losing. You're going home, unless there's some turn of events there where you get lucky. And I do think everybody needs to luck around here and there. You do. But I really believe that no round, like years ago, if we qualified number one and there was a 16-car field, we backed off first round. We didn't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. We wanted to get that round win. And we probably might have had a couple of easy rounds before the semifinals. Now it's game on just to get in the field, game on to qualify, game on to win. I will say this and mean it wholeheartedly. My goal is to be 00 to a teen every single round. I went the other way by 6th thou the last race. Well, that's what it's going to take. Cut and throat. You've got to be there. And if you're not there, I'm afraid to say it's not going to happen, you know, unless the car gets out of shape or what have you. But if these cars are running at their potential, and the drivers have stepped up. I mean, we see guys cutting lights and running. I don't know what to say. It doesn't get any closer. All I know is I feel that someone could be 00 and run a 50 and lose, because the other guy will be that close. And that's that's crazy.
It's bonkers is really what it is.
Yeah.
Do you think that, what do you make of just and I don't know if, there does seem to be a spirit of collaboration. And I was just wondering if you could speak to that. I mean, one of the things that I think I'm perhaps most proud of is that, you know, we've got Keith Haney and a contingent of the Midwest Drag Racing Series racers involved with what we're doing. We've got a contingent, as I mentioned earlier in the show, Ryan Martin, Sean Ellington, Callie Mills, Scott Taylor, you know, Robin Roberts, Jimmy Taylor, like this whole world of No Prep Kings guys that are committed and invested in what we're doing. We've got, you know, the PDRA contingent committed and invested in what we're doing. We've got, you know, a handful, a smattering and a growing smattering of NHRA pro level teams, pro mod racers, as well as pro stock top fuel racers that are involved in what we're doing. Bringing these worlds together, to me, is some real magic. But I'm just curious, as someone who I kind of liken a community builder, because that's what I see myself as a lot, is like my goal here is to build a community. The community is the most important thing. And I see you doing that, you know, by way of Racers for Christ and just putting yourself out there the way you do, making yourself available. I see you walking through the staging lanes and praying with drivers, praying with your opponent, doing a lot of things that just mean a lot to me. Do you sense some kind of overarching positive movement right now? Like, and I'm not trying to say it's all in Bradenton. I think it's largely across the board, but I definitely think there's something special happening amongst this community.
I really think there is. And community is what it's about. Listen, I've made no bones about being as competitive as I can possibly be, but my opponent, I will go out of my way to pray with my opponent. We're not running bicycles. We're running a pretty mean machine. But I want my relationships with them to last. Nobody's going to remember who won how many races, but I always say they'll remember you. So what is the legacy that you leave? My legacy, I don't want it to be the championship, and I don't want it to be the trophies and they're all over the wall, and that's great. I want it to be the legacy of what did I leave in terms of the community, the Racers for Christ, the Godspeed Ministries, because this is what really matters. When we leave that racetrack, if it's all about the race car, which it was for me for years, it's a really lonely world. But when we can build community, and now we're racing, what's cool about this race is I get to see everybody I've raced with for the last 20 years all over the country. We're all in one spot. And you don't see that anymore. Street Outlaw guys, I don't know. Kai, I know. We go way back from when he just had his original Camaro and being at a racetrack with jack stands out there working, and I just talked to him, built a little bit of a relationship there. I don't know some of the other guys and girls, but they have stepped it up, man. They are good drivers, man. They are really good drivers. I mean, when I went red against Callie's, because I knew I had to be on it. I knew. I mean, it wasn't any, years ago, if someone came into the pro mod world, we used to call it, that world, they were a little slack, and you could hopefully get one of those guys. There is no one that I would race and not give proper respect to, but not only on the racetrack, off of the racetrack. I've made great friends with Stevie and all the people that are known by first name basis. And I may not be known as like they are because that's their business. I do this as a hobby per se, but I still take it very seriously. Knowing that, if I've got a gift to drive a race car, I don't want that to be the only gift that I bring there. So you're right. The sense of community, which you do and your team do so very well. That's what we need to spread. We need to spread. Listen, my job is I'm going to spread the love of Christ to people, and they can hate me, but I'm going to love them. Period. There's not going to be anybody that I lose to that I'm going to be sore. I'm going to go over to them, congratulate them, and truly build a friendship with them. I always said, and I wrote a column years ago, the victory's in the loss. It's not in the win. Everybody's happy when they win. When you lose, if you can still be appreciative and happy and grateful to be part of something so big, then you're creating a legacy.
I agree, man. And I mean, and that's the conversation that I have with so many race teams, because part of the most, the double-edged sword of these, I saw a comment from my buddies over in London, Andy Jackson in here. How many cars are we going to have? It's probably going to be, north of 70 yet again. We have tried to be, smart about, keeping this as exclusive as we can while also bringing in new faces and keeping the energy up. It's a little bit of a balancing act, but one of the bittersweet parts of this is sending home 40, 50 world-class race teams. And that's why I'm super excited about our, Drag Illustrated Wildcard Shootout, and, making sure that we've got a place to ensure that, the guys who find themselves on the outside looking in aren't loading their stuff up and necessarily going home. They've got an opportunity to go race for good money, race in front of a big crowd, be on a worldwide platform, a global audience. And I think that's important. But you make a great point. Tony Robbins, I'm a goofball self-help, self-improvement guy. And he always says, when we win, we party. When we lose, we ponder. And there's a lot more value in that pondering, that time spent pondering. And I, as hard as it is, I know that every racer that finds themselves in that situation at the end of the night on Friday night going, man, we missed it. We got to run behind. We had that wiring issue, and we got a couple of runs behind, and we could just never close the gap. And we weren't able to test as much this year, whatever. Those are the weekends that are going to make you a champion, that are going to make you, that are going to position you to be the last man standing at one of these races, and it's hard in the moment, obviously, but there is value. There is value to those tough experiences.
Well, hey, listen, man, victory is a choice. So I'm victorious every day because I choose it. That doesn't need a win light for that to define me. But I think that's come with a lot of years and experience and maturity. I wasn't like that all the time. People that knew me back when knew that, if I didn't win, I was not a very good loser. And I wasn't winning as much because I was just so wound up. Now I'm just relaxed and I'm having fun. And knowing that, this is an amazing opportunity to be a part of something that very few people get to be a part of. Qualify or not qualify, win or lose, I hope to be the same. And I'll tell you what, indeed, I do plan on, and I'm sure many teams do, winning this race. I have every intention of winning this race. And if that comes to fruition, then wow, there will be a heck of a celebration and party. And if it's not us, if someone else does, then we'll celebrate with them too. I mean, at the end of the day, I personally do not want to burn any bridges. I want to have good relationships with people. So I think if the people still come before the race car and all of the money that's involved here, you'll have good relationships that can last. And good communication is what you guys are doing with the series, communicating with people. And are you going to make everybody happy? Absolutely not. My job is to speak truth as well as it is to yours. If somebody doesn't like it, with all due respect, that's not my problem.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I will tell you here in front of God and everybody else, like you have been a great resource, and I appreciate your friendship through all the years and your contribution to what we do at Drag Illustrated. As you likely know, we're celebrating 20 years of this project and in 2026. And it's been absolutely awesome to have you a part of the journey, man. And I can't wait to see you next week. I got to tell you, I cannot wait to get down to Bradenton and kick some tires and light some fires and spend time with my family. That's how it really feels for me, is go see my people, brother. Thank you for taking some time to chat with us, Tommy. And if there's anything I can do for you between now and the biggest, richest pro mod race in the history of the known universe, you let me know. And I look forward to seeing you early next week.
You too, my brother. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you, Tommy. We'll talk soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy DeApril. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Guys, we're down to the last 4 minutes of the program. I didn't see a ton of questions come in. I did see a couple. I'll just touch on these briefly. Our longtime friend and viewer, Clint, from PA, I think he's from Pennsylvania. Yeah. What do you think the disconnect is with drag racing compared to NASCAR? Why are we not huge? Why is NASCAR so mainstream? I'll tell you, I actually wrote a book about this, and I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to do a new edition to it. But I really believe that they went all in. There was a fork in the road somewhere along the way where drag racing and stock car racing, I think, were fairly equal in terms of like overall market share, right? And I think that there was a moment where NASCAR said, hey, we're going to celebrate moonshiners and these belly badass rebels and outlaws, and we're going to tell the stories about characters and guys fighting this battle and good guys and bad guys. And, as you guys have heard me say many times, black hats, white hats, do that dance and create a narrative and create a story and tell that story. And I think drag racing took a very different direction and said, hey, we're going to make this about cars, mechanics, technology, horsepower. Where the cars are the stars. And I really think that fork in the road is the foundation of the situation we find ourselves in today. And that's why we've spent the last 20 years celebrating racers and putting the men and women that make this magic happen front and center, because I really think they are the connective tissue between drag racing and a mainstream audience. And I think we're seeing it happen. I mean, you don't have to look much further than Street Outlaws. We've talked about that a lot today. Drag racing is secondary, really. The on-track action is secondary to these personalities and these stories and these relatable tales and the aspirational culture and all these things. That's really the tip of the spear. So I think you'll see our sport continue to grow and evolve. The more effort and energy is put on storytelling. We're seeing that with NHRA right now. I mean, I can't give them enough props for their Chasing Speed reality docuseries. No matter whether you're a super big NHRA fan or a Nitro fan or not, it's worth participating in that, because you get a glimpse behind the scenes and you learn a little bit about these men and women that maybe you didn't know or wouldn't be able to glean from a Fox Sports broadcast. So I encourage you to dive into that stuff and consume that content, be a part of it, because that's really going to be what takes our sport to that proverbial next level and carries us into the future. Mike, JT, Blake, everybody in the green room, appreciate you. Huge shout out to all of our guests today. Ryan Martin, super excited to have Ryan make his Pro Mod debut at the World Series of Pro Mod next weekend at Bradenton. You can get your tickets today at thefote.com, the official ticketing source of Drag Illustrated Winter Series, presented by JNA Service and, of course, Bradenton Motorsports Park. You can also log on to www.thewinterseries.com for all sorts of information. And, of course, follow us at Drag Illustrated on all the social media channels to stay tuned in on all things Drag Illustrated, drag racing, and, of course, the Winter Series and World Series of Pro Mod. You can also, if for some reason you're not able to make the trip down to Bradenton Motorsports Park and be a part of the action in person, you can follow along live all weekend on flowracing.com, and you can, of course, catch qualifying on Amazon Prime for free. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week live from Bradenton Motorsports Park for the World Series of Pro Mod. Thanks for being a part of it. We'll see you next week.